Hello, this is Angela with Parker's Permaculture. I am sitting in the front yard of my Portland, Oregon permaculture garden in Zone 8B. Today is the very last day of July, and if you've been watching my channel over the last couple of months, you'll know that I've been doing weekly garden updates for the summer, and I will try and continue those through August, and maybe even into September. In the past, I've done kind of monthly garden tours, but there's just so much happening in a permaculture garden throughout the summer, and things change so quickly. What is blooming, what is developing, what is being harvested changes on a weekly basis. So I wanted to give y'all a better picture, a better view of what it is like to live in a permaculture system. And so that's what I've been trying to do, weekly garden updates. So I'm actually out here picking peaches. I have had a ridiculous peach harvest. I have one peach tree. Now, peaches are kind of notoriously short-lived, fussy, disease-prone trees. I have an Oregon curl-free peach, and as you can see, there is no peach leaf curl to be had anywhere on this tree. I don't spray it. I don't treat it with anything. All I do is give it some good pruning twice a year, and I thin the peaches a little bit, probably not as much as I should, but it's really hard for me to thin peaches because it's just hard. Psychologically, it's difficult to thin fruit for a lot of people, me included. So this tree produces incredibly well with very little work on my part and very little pest and disease pressure. Part of that is because I feed the soil and create a really rich, vibrant, nourishing substrate in which my tree is growing. So I firmly believe that when we create systems that are designed holistically and focus on nurturing all parts of the system, we make each individual element stronger. And that's definitely the case with my peach tree. It has been a very low stress tree for me, and I think that's because I have taken the time to nourish all of the elements around it. It has a strong support network. I am very realistic about the fact that my peach tree is probably not going to live more than 20-25 years. That's okay. Peaches are relatively short-lived. If you go into it with realistic expectations about what you're going to get, you won't be disappointed. So I'm very, very grateful. I probably have 100 peaches off this little tree, and I'll be sharing it with friends. Probably won't be canning. I've been freezing my peaches the last couple of years. In fact, let me tell you really quickly. I take my peaches, I just rinse them off, and I put them in 1-gallon bags in the freezer whole like this. And then when we want to enjoy them later in the year, you take them out of the freezer completely whole, run them under hot water, and the skin slips right off. And you slice it and enjoy those frozen peach slices. It's like sorbet. It's really, really good. It helps preserve all of the sweetness and capture all of the flavor. Freezing is a really good way to preserve your produce and keep the nutritional content and the flavor optimal. So for me, I stopped canning peaches a while ago. I was heartbroken when my daughter told me she preferred Costco canned peaches. So I just freeze them. It's very low effort. It takes up a lot of space in the freezer to freeze whole peaches, but dang, really easy to enjoy them. If I want to cook with them, same thing. I just run the peach under hot water, slip the skin off, slice it, throw it in a pie with another 6 or 7 peaches, pop it in the oven, boom, peach pie in the winter, peach cobbler in the winter. Very, very low effort. And in the summer, when I am scrambling to harvest buckets of blackberries and blueberries every day, goji berries, tomatoes, I'm shredding and freezing summer squash. Really love to have ways to preserve the harvest that are low effort. So maybe that is a tip that will help you in preserving your peach harvest. Let me show you around the garden a little bit. I don't have a huge tour today, mostly just because I've been super busy. My dad has needed a lot of care, and I've been working on developing this new channel, which I have a name, and I am working on some graphics for it, so that will be out very soon. I've also just been focusing a lot of time on pruning and pulling up spent things. Because of our dramatic heat wave in June, I've had some plants that have had their life cycle kind of accelerated from that stress and pressure. And that means that I have some things that are done. For instance, my raspberries, and I'll show you that in the video in a moment. So I've been doing a lot more pulling up, cutting back and heavy pruning than I would normally be doing in late July. Just following the communication that I'm getting from the garden. I'm observing and I'm interacting appropriately. Parts of the garden are telling me they are tired, they are done for the year, even though it's a month early, and I'm listening to them and respecting that, and I want to respond appropriately. So lots and lots and lots of cutting back things this past week. So let me show you around the garden, and then we'll come back at the end and chat for a second. The garden is definitely looking wild and overgrown in the backyard at this time of year. I don't mind at all. The rain garden is bringing in the pollinators, and the annual veggie patch may be a tangle of productive, green, vibrant growth, and it can be hard to get around, but it's okay because we are harvesting so much out of the garden, and all of the flowers are bringing in the bees. My partner and I spent a long time this morning working on woodworking projects and also on splitting wood and reorganizing the wood shed. The old cured wood from last winter is in the right bay, and the new wood I'm splitting is in the left bay. Now down here, my golden raspberries are unfortunately probably not going to produce that well this fall because I left the chickens in here too long and they really did a lot of damage. You can see all of the old vegetation I just pruned off in a pile. It will get composted. Really pleased with this one extra summer squash I had. I tucked it in the middle of a potato bed next to a tree collard. They're all producing great together. While not yet ripe, my damson plums are getting close. They are much earlier than last year because of the heat we had early in the summer. My eldest kid is in charge of the poultry. Don't worry, she won't let this chicken completely decimate the kale. Just enough free ranging for a little treat. Now my cattle panel trellis is doing a great job supporting all of my winter squash. These are my Angela's Oregon sweetmeat. Soon they're going to get a pumpkin bra on them to help support them on this trellis because they will get much larger. These runner beans are for soup and won't get harvested until the pods are dry. Now here you can see Leonurus cardiaca, also known as motherwort, growing alongside Jude the obscure rose. Leonurus is such a great bee food. It volunteers all over the place. If you plant it as an annual, you'll have it coming up all over your garden. It is very tall and it is spiky, but it is great late summer bee food. Here you can see one of my beehives against the back fence. Don't know if the bees that are feeding on this motherwort right now are from my colony or from another one in the neighborhood, but that's okay. Now we don't have a garage, so one of our summer projects this year was building a little bike shelter for all our bicycles, which otherwise ended up all over the yard. Now it still needs some hooks for helmets and some paint and a gutter on the front, but it's mostly complete, and I'm really proud of the fact that we were able to source most of the materials for free, including the plywood. Across the path from the bike shelter is this quince tree, which has set the largest crop I have ever had. It is trained as a bush so I can reach all of the fruit without getting on a ladder, and boy oh boy, I am going to have a huge harvest come fall. Normally I wouldn't be pruning back my raspberries until September, however the heat wave did a number on them, and so I've gone ahead and taken off all of the fruiting canes from this year since they're spent. In the front yard, on what is left of our driveway, is my solar dehydrator, and I have spent the last few days drying quite a lot of figs. My fig harvest has been really good this year, and these figs will be dried and I will use them in desserts in the fall and winter. Just a few years ago, this bed was driveway. Now it has a young chase tree in it, rudbeckia, physalis, pumpkins, basil, and asters. It's teeming with life and productivity. Now over here is my
brassica cage to protect my young starts for fall from cabbage loper butterflies. They're all doing very well and have been potted up. Frustratingly, my Nikita's Gift persimmon up here in the front yard has once again aborted most of its fruit. It's kept about 20% this year, which is better than 0% last year. Meanwhile, my Fuyu persimmon in the backyard holds on to almost all of its fruit, and I get large crops off of it. Meanwhile, up here in the front yard, my goji berries continually produce really well and are low fuss. Up here in the front yard is my Oregon curl-free peach. I've picked most of the peaches off of it, but there's still quite a few I haven't gotten to yet and hope to this afternoon. Still shaping up to be a great year for pawpaws. I love watching fruit mature and the anticipation of the harvest in the months to come. An evening ritual every day the last week has been coming out to pick blackberries. These are thornless triple crown, a fantastic, tasty, large blackberry.
So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing if you want to learn more about permaculture, regenerative living, and what it's really like to live in a food forest and try and produce as much of your own food as possible. I also have a Patreon down in the description. If you are interested in supporting this channel on a monthly basis, you can check that out. Also, if you want to just say, hey, Angela, I really appreciate the work that you do. I can't contribute every single month, but I want to throw a couple of bucks at you. I have a PayPal that you can also check out down in the description. Y'all supporting this channel helps me make more permaculture videos, and it supports me and my 4 children on our permaculture journey here in Portland, Oregon. Thanks.